Good morning, Tim Sykes here. You might hear me sound like shit. I am not in a good place health-wise. Traveling too much, it caught up with me. Uh, but I'm still going to make a video lesson, so ignore my sickness for a second. I'm sorry to those of you guys who are in Miami to learn in person. I don't want to get you sick today. Yesterday, I toughed it out. Um, this is a great group we've got, but I got to give special thanks to this guy, Tim Bowen, for really filling in and teaching everybody. And Mark Crook, I think, is going to try to stop by today. He's trying to find a babysitter. Triforce Trader might stop by. I love my team. I'm so thankful. My mom and my uncle, who's a pirate. Thank you guys to everybody. My dad, who's here. Um, you know, this is what is so cool about all this. It's not just about the money. It's not just about me. It's the community. And we're all trying to get better. We're all trying to learn. And it's kind of a beautiful thing, this community that we've built together. So thank you to everybody. Again, I'm sorry for sounding like death today. Yesterday, I still had a few decent trades. I missed the big runner of the day, MBOT, which was yesterday. Um, I actually almost had it overnight, but I sold it after hours because I just didn't trust it. And it was down, 15% near the market open yesterday. And it turned out to be a much better dip buy. Either you get the dip in the 370s, as I was talking about uh, with those of you guys who are in Miami in person. 370 should act as support because where was the big breakout? 365-ish. So, in hindsight, yeah, I should have taken a trade, but a lot of the time, you see like these one-day wonders and then it just dries up. Um, I want my nose to dry up, but this stock did not dry up. It just kept going. And I am not going to chase this kind of a breakout midday. Um, if it had happened in the afternoon, if it had happened in the morning, that would have been fine. Me and Tim Bowen both were just watching it around noon Eastern. And, midday breakouts do happen. They're just not very often. And they don't usually work this well. So, it's a good pattern. I know a lot of you guys in the chat room nailed it. I will miss midday breakout after midday breakout because it is not a high odds pattern. What I did hit was NBEV. Um, it had a nice spike yesterday. Let me actually pull up a multi-day chart. Sorry, you have to hear me blow my nose. Leave a comment underneath this video saying, Tim, you sound like shit. Because it's true. I have to realize that. I'm going to go to sleep in a little bit. I'm not even sure if I'll be awake for the market open, but I wanted to go over yesterday's trades before I forget. NBEV, nice multi-day breakout. If you look at the 10-day. The high here was 635-ish. So that is my goal buying a breakout. This one did not break out at like 11 a.m. This was in the afternoon. So I like afternoon breakouts. I like morning breakouts. Midday breakouts, not high percentage enough for me. But this did go all the way up to 655-ish. And then it came down to 630, 635-ish. So I bought it on this dip, which was very nice. You don't want to chase a breakout too far. You risk a lot. Even after this first spike to 660, it did break 660. I had already sold, in the high 650s. I made like 15, 20 cents a share. I wanted more, but it was having a wall of sellers at 660. Let me just show you the wall so you can understand it. This is just today. Shoot, 2 days. Right here, the high was like 658-ish, and then it had this wall right here at 660. And it actually did break 660, but I sold right in here in the 658 range, 657 range, um, because I wasn't sure, how far this would really go. Um, by the time, literally by the time I'm even writing the alert, it was like hitting 670. Sometimes that happens, I can only type so fast. So sometimes I'm writing the alert and the price has changed. And I don't mind selling a little too soon. I bought on the dip in the 630s and that was pretty good. Buying a multi-day breakout on a dip off the intraday high with the goal of it getting back to the highs and maybe even breaking those highs. I don't know what this does today. They had some news. It wasn't anything like truly great, but then again, MBOT was just patent news, and that wasn't great. I think that people are looking for, any excuse whatsoever, um, just to have a stock that's moving, because right now there's not a lot moving. Um, you know, Anyways, that's NBEV and MBOT. These are the top two stocks. If they do start to fail breaking out, especially today, which is a Friday, both of these become potential shorts because they're up a ton. I would not be chasing MBOT, which is up from the twos to nearly six on the long side here because it never has shown itself to be, a really good stock that can hold its gains. This is the past 6 months. If we go out 2 years, I mean, you see back in 2015 it had some spiking, but after this big negative news, you had one day of spiking here. You had like 2 or 3 days of spiking here. You had like 3 days of spiking here, and then one day of spiking. Now today, this is potentially, going to be the third day. Um, I just would not be aggressively long. That said, it might drop, like I'm filming this pre-market, it might drop pre-market, it might drop near the market open, but it might also curl like it did yesterday, or coil and go red to green. So even though I'm not necessarily thinking that this can do it, it's a Friday. That's the scariest day of the week for short sellers. I wouldn't be surprised to see it dip and, maybe even test these highs again. Just have no expectations. Don't be disappointed if it doesn't come back. Don't be surprised if it comes back. But watch it closely. And NBEV, I would like to not chase it here in the 660s. If it comes down to the 630s, I might dip by it. I got to see how I feel in a little bit. I got to get better. I hate getting sick. I have so much stuff to do. But it happens. At least I can still make a video lesson. There are no days off. If you truly want success, I know my work ethic kind of scares some of you guys. I don't know. Every person who I know is truly great at stock trading or anything. They fight through the pain. They do what other people think is crazy, and with their research or their honing their skills. So for me as a teacher, I'm trying to make these video lessons even though I don't want to, even though my throat absolutely burns as I'm doing this. But I want to show you what it's like, rain or shine, in sickness or in health. I'm always going to be teaching. I'm always going to be reviewing. If I could have chosen, I would have chosen to get sick on the weekend because then, okay, I'm not missing any stock market time. I'm not missing this whole, freaking group of people who came to trade in person with me. I can't choose, when I get sick. I should have done a better job of resting more. But again, thank you guys, everybody who came. We had some great Q&A yesterday. And thank you to Timmy Bowen, Mark Crook, and maybe even Triforce Trader today for picking up my slack. I'm sorry again, guys. At least we had a few good trades, and there'll be a few good trades today. I'll be in the chat room as much as I can today. I don't know, when you're sick, it's tough to trade because it's tough to think clearly. And, some of the worst trades I've ever done have been when I'm sick and I have a fever. So I don't expect to do much today, if anything, and I definitely won't be aggressive. But at least I can tell you which stocks to watch. MBOT, NBEV, And actually, pre-market SGYP is spiking too on some positive news. And this one is beaten down. So it might not, it wouldn't surprise me if this one kept running. It had a nice after hours spike yesterday. And if you scroll out to the past few years, I mean, it's really beaten down. What did I just do? I don't know. It is beaten down. So this is not accurate. What did I just click? This is what I'm saying. There you go. This is the SGYP chart. And so this might just bounce a little because, frankly, that's the market we're in, and you got to be aware. I'll see you guys in the chat room. Again, I'm sorry for my voice. Thank you.